And today we're going to be doing a more serious video. We will be discussing F and C, or as I call them, the epitome of toxic love. I will be giving the story from my perspective because I unfortunately was involved in this, being their friend, and it was a lot. They met through an online dating app at the beginning, and everything seemed perfect, as it always does, because, you know, honeymoon phase and all that. Then the facade began to slip, and she noticed some unpleasant personality traits and behaviors he had. He was very concerned about where she was and what she was doing all the time. She thought it was sweet, but I saw big old red flags blown in the wind. At the time she met C, she was working, had her own home, raising her child. She was in a very good place after a very bad relationship that left her homeless and stranded in another state. She and C began to argue about her working. He would harass her and call her work. If she didn't respond on her cell phone, he would call the front desk and threaten the other employees if they didn't get her to speak to him. This got so intense she actually quit her job. Then they had a small honeymoon period, and she let him move into her home. They were happy for a couple weeks until she went to the store, and while she was gone, he left her child there alone. When she finally returned home, they had an explosive argument. He proceeded to steal bill money from her and leave. That was the end. Oh, no. No, it wasn't. A couple weeks later, when the anger had melted away and the hormones had ignited, they got back together. No, just you wait. It turns into a big fiery wreck. So a month or two passes, and they begin to speak about having a baby. Oh, what's that? Another big red flag. He has 3 kids with an ex-wife he doesn't see or pay child support to. Lovely, perfect. Yep, you need this in your life. Real wonderful parent material right there. So mission accomplished, she's knocked up within weeks. I asked repeatedly if she was sure, as her older child was halfway through elementary school, and she had struggled in the past with being a single parent. Nope, she was ready. He'll be the perfect dad. She's so happy to be having a baby. Eye roll. You can see how enthusiastic I was at this whole thing. Months pass, and I'm over often hanging out because most of our other friends despise the guy, and I was trying to be there for my friend because that's who I am as a person. She was about to go from an only child who was almost a teenager to a newborn. My babies are 17 months apart, and I know how hard it is to go from one kid to two kids. See, having more than one kid makes your brain just stop working. Yeah. Well, we're in the 2nd trimester, and I'm over for the weekend, so we could, you know, hang out and whatever. She goes to check the mail and finds court documents in his name regarding another child who he said he had no clue who this girl was. So, he denied ever knowing this woman. He went to the court date. In the words of Maury, you are the father. He was the dad. And a couple more months pass, and another court papers come. Guess what? He was the father again. Then she just ignored this as they were about to have their child. I think she was scared to be alone raising the 2 kids, which I fully understand, but still. They have their child, and when he was about 3 weeks old, another paternity suit arrived, and he was the father again. He was found to be the father of 3 more babies, plus their child, so that is 7 kids. He lied about the number of kids he had. 7 kids. 7 kids. Are you kidding me? He told her from the beginning he only had 3 kids with his ex-wife. No. He lied and told her that he had half the amount of kids that he actually had. How are you going to be like, oh no, I only got 3 kids and you got 7? He wasn't working, she wasn't working. And she had just had a baby. And he would always pitch a fit when she brought up going back to work. They did okay for a few months, then she would catch him going through her stuff, or he would disappear for hours on end and show up acting strange. He would either act like he wasn't doing anything or blow up on her and leave again, which is the way to get out of the house again, so of course. Her spidey senses began to tingle, so she went through the areas and noticed him going. She went through the areas of her house that she noticed him in and realized that she was missing small amounts of money, some valuable items, and she goes to the area by the garage where he would go and smoke cigarettes. And guess what she found? What do you think she found? A hypodermic needle and a pain patch. So Mr. Can't Keep It in His Pants and Mr. Controlling Level 1000 is now also a known abuser of drugs. Hello, although red flags are waving wildly now. So obviously this ended their relationship, right? Nope. She told him she would stay with him if he went to rehab. Bawled his eyes out, promised on their child's life, "I'll change and be a better partner and be a good dad, boo-hoo." He, of course, did literally nothing, none of that. Didn't happen. But he did get a job, so that eased some of the tension. They mellowed for a bit, fell into the routine. She was at home, he was outside the home. After this period, he began to fall back into old patterns of behavior. He would start to call her, make outrageous claims, such as he could hear a man in the background, he had someone spying on her, saw a man coming into the home, or even that her older child's father was coming over to be with her while he was out working. If you knew how strained the relationship she had with her older child's father was, it is a little impossible and laughable that she would. It's just not even in the realm of probability. The tension, along with him being paid in cash for work and having his pay never quite match the amount of hours he said he worked, caused their relationship to cycle between the honeymoon phase, while they were each other's soulmates, to an all-out war between them. Even as someone on the outside, this was so stressful, and I know her kids were being impacted by this. Her oldest child even attempted to run away because of the stress of living with this was making her physically ill. I tried my best to go over more often because he didn't act up when I was there because he was afraid of me. I tried mediating, breaking down changes they could both make to be better for one another because I was worried about the kids. Things did slowly change and improve for a little bit until he was involved in an accident at work, which caused a very minor back injury, like minor whiplash, not even anything serious. This caused a rapid decline in his sanity, and he went back to abusing drugs. She would find discarded pain pill packaging as well as needles, a spoon, and other paraphernalia. Not anywhere the kids could access it, but up in the rafters of the roof, in the garage, places he would go, basically. He became more explosive and paranoid. I wish I could say this was short-lived, but no, this absolute train wreck went on for nearly 2 years. They were so toxic for one another, but also so linked because they couldn't separate or do better for their child. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. This was about the time he started to put his hands on her. Never when I was there or in a visible place, because I would literally have murdered him. He slipped up and pulled a chunk out of her hair after slamming her down onto the concrete floor and leaving a bruise on her lower back, in the back of her hip, which was larger than a grapefruit. This began the cycle of him leaving the home and harassing her, stalking her, calling the CPS and reporting her, saying she was prostituting herself and had no junkies in and out of the home around their child. This was not true at all. At all. I think this is where I'll end part 1 because the ride is not over yet. The roller coaster of crazy continues. Come back for Come back for part 2 of this crazy toxic mess. Bye. Thanks for watching.